On a seemingly ordinary college campus in the quiet town of Fairgrove, what started as a night of intimidation turned into an unforgettable standoff. When a group of officers from the town's notorious Special Patrol Unit decided to harass a quiet student, they had no idea who they were dealing with. Robert wasn't just another face in the crowd. He was a former Army Ranger and a black belt in jiu-jitsu, trained to handle threats far tougher than anything those men could throw at him. They thought a badge and a smirk would keep everyone silent, but they didn't realize Robert's courage ran deeper than they could imagine. It began with Theo Lynn, a shy, bookish freshman, cutting through the east parking lot after a late study session in the library. The Special Patrol Unit, led by Sergeant Mason Vickery, had taken to hanging around the edges of campus under the guise of night patrols. But what they really did was loiter, intimidate, and abuse their authority, targeting whoever looked too timid to fight back. Their presence had become an unsettling fixture. Their jokes were loud, their boots heavy on the asphalt, and their glances sharp. Theo clutched his backpack a little tighter as he walked, trying not to draw attention. A voice rang out, sharp and mocking. "Hey, kid," called Officer Blake Travers, a towering enforcer with a jaw like a steel trap. "Where you rushing off to? Don't you want to hang out with the good guys?" Laughter followed from the others. Theo froze, heartbeat quickening. He turned slightly, his voice barely audible. I need to get back to my dorm." Blake stepped into his path, smiling. "Oh, come on now. Don't be rude. We're just trying to be friendly." As Theo tried to sidestep, another officer, Quinn Royce, snatched his bag, tossing it to Blake. The group passed it around like a game, ignoring Theo's protests. That's when Robert appeared, stepping out from the shadows near the gymnasium's back entrance, his eyes locked on the scene. He'd seen the patrol officers before, heard whispers about what they did when no one with authority was watching. And tonight, he saw enough. "That's enough," Robert said, his voice steady and low. The officers paused, their amusement flickering. Blake turned, eyes narrowing as he took in Robert's athletic frame and unreadable expression. "You got business here?" he asked, his tone turning cold. "I'm just returning the kid's bag," Robert replied, his eyes flicking toward Theo's backpack now lying on the pavement. Sergeant Vickery stepped forward, the embroidered gold bar on his chest catching the lot lights. His smirk was all venom. "You want to play hero?" Robert's expression didn't change. "I think you should walk away." A beat of silence stretched between them. The officers circled him slowly, their confidence slipping into something more calculating. Theo watched, frozen in place, fear curdling in his stomach. Robert was outnumbered, 4 of them, 1 of him, but he didn't flinch. Vickery drew closer, jaw clenched. "You've got guts, but guts don't matter when you're outnumbered and outmatched." "Try me," Robert answered. The sergeant lunged, fist aimed at Robert's jaw. In a blur, Robert sidestepped, caught the man's wrist, and twisted, sending Vickery crashing to the pavement with a grunt. Blake charged next, swinging his baton like a club. Robert ducked under it, pivoted, and drove a hard kick into Blake's leg, sending the officer sprawling beside his leader. The remaining 2 hesitated. They'd trained for force, not skill. Robert straightened, eyes cold. "Anyone else?" The officers exchanged glances, and then Royce helped Vickery up. "This isn't over," Vickery hissed, clutching his arm. "You'll regret this." They retreated, boots pounding against the pavement as they disappeared around the corner. Robert exhaled. He turned to Theo, who was still trembling. "You okay?" Theo nodded slowly. "Thank you. I didn't know what to do." Robert picked up the backpack and handed it to him. "Stick to lit paths, and don't walk alone if you can help it." "They'll be back," Theo said. "Security won't do anything. They all know each other." Robert sighed. He had a feeling the kid was right. Power protected power, but letting them roam free wasn't an option. "Then we'll handle it another way." By morning, word had spread. A video had surfaced, recorded by a junior named Eli Ramos, who had caught the confrontation on his phone from behind a vending machine. It showed everything: Robert's calm demeanor, his swift takedowns, the officer's embarrassment. The video exploded across campus. Students watched it in dorms, in the cafeteria, between classes. Comments poured in. "Who is this guy? Campus legend. Finally, someone stood up to them, but not all the attention was welcome. The video painted a target on Robert's back. Those officers had friends in uniform and friends with influence. That afternoon, in a dim garage on the outskirts of Fairgrove, Vickery paced, furious. One guy made us look like fools. We didn't expect that, Blake muttered, still nursing a bruise on his shin. We go in prepared next time, Vickery said. We don't play around. Back on campus, Robert kept to himself. He didn't want the spotlight or the whispers. He'd stepped in to stop something wrong, not to become a symbol. Still, he watched carefully, studying patrol routes, noting where students gathered, where lights flickered or died out. His military instincts told him it wasn't over. Eli caught up with him near the science building. You're famous now, he said. You should see the views. Robert looked at him. Take it down. Why? People love it. It's not a game, Robert replied. You just made this personal for them. When they come back, it won't just be me they go after. Eli's face paled. I didn't think of that. Think about it now, Robert said, walking off. That evening, it happened again. Patrol vehicles pulled up along the campus loop road, lights off, engines rumbling, students scattered. Theo was near the dining hall steps when Vickery and his men appeared. Still walking around like you own the place? Vickery growled. Before Theo could retreat, Robert was there, stepping between them like a wall. Leave him alone. You don't learn, do you? Vickery said, reaching inside his coat. No, Robert replied, eyes sharp. I just finish what I start. Two officers lunged at once. Robert twisted, ducking one, and flung the other over his shoulder. Blake drew a stun baton, but Robert kicked it from his hand. Vickery pulled a knife, slashing wildly. Robert deflected the blade with his forearm, grabbed the sergeant's wrist, and disarmed him with practiced speed. The knife clattered to the sidewalk. Sirens wailed in the distance. This time, the response wasn't from Vickery's cronies. Real security officers, alerted by students who had filmed everything, who had finally stopped whispering and started acting, arrived with floodlights blazing. Vickery and his men froze, caught in the beam like cornered animals. This isn't over, the sergeant spat again, his voice brittle with a desperation he couldn't hide, even as he backed away. You think this means something? But his words hung there, hollow, stripped of power. His badge didn't mean what it once did. His silence no longer frightened anyone. One by one, they turned and left. No commands, no swagger, just retreat. Their grip, once silent, invisible, suffocating, had cracked. Robert stood in the center of the lot, breathing hard, fists still trembling slightly. He didn't watch them go. He didn't need to. Theo approached, slowly, like someone stepping into the sun after too long in the dark. You didn't have to do that, he said quietly. But, thank you. Robert looked at him for a long moment, eyes steady. Then he nodded. No one should have to face that alone. In the days that followed, everything changed. The administration, so quick to avoid conflict before, was now cornered by the tide of videos, student protests, and national media coverage. They suspended the entire Special Patrol Unit from campus indefinitely. Investigations were launched. Anonymous tip lines exploded with testimonies. A hidden history of harassment and unchecked force unraveled in public view. The silence had been broken, and with it came reckoning. Self-defense workshops were introduced, campus escorts expanded, students walked in pairs, in groups, in solidarity. You could feel it in the way the halls buzzed, in how heads turned when someone raised their voice, in how no one looked away anymore. Robert, quietly, was asked to lead some of the training. At first, he hesitated. He wasn't a teacher. He didn't want recognition. But people needed to feel strong again. And he remembered what it felt like to be alone when fear circled. He said yes. Theo came to every session. He listened. He practiced. He stopped flinching when doors opened behind him. His stance grew firm. His eyes learned to hold their gaze. And Robert, watching from across the mats, saw something shift, saw a boy finding the ground under his feet. Others followed. A quiet revolution of resolve spread through the campus. The officers never returned. Not officially, but Robert noticed. The black SUV sometimes parked across the street, never staying long. A man with mirrored sunglasses standing too long at the edge of the quad. Eyes watching from places they once owned. Robert kept his routines, kept moving through campus as he always had. Calm, quiet, unnoticed. Not a hero, just a man who had refused to look away, who had stood up when it mattered. But sometimes late at night, when the corridors echoed and the lights flickered low, he would pause. He would feel the tension crawl back under his skin, like a whisper trying to return. And yet, he never looked back. Because now, when he walked, others walked with him. Because one voice, raised in the dark, had reminded them all that fear only lives where silence is allowed to grow. And Robert, quiet, scarred, steady, had become the storm that shattered it. For Theo and every student like him, that had made all the difference.